What if Ethereum scrapped the EVM entirely? That's the question Vitalik raised in a recent post, suggesting Ethereum's execution layer could be reimagined using RISC-V, a hardware-native instruction set architecture. And that's a big deal. But if we're talking about alternative execution environments, we also need to talk about WebAssembly, or WASM, which is already gaining lots of traction in the blockchain community. So today, let's break down what WASM and RISC-V actually are, how they differ, and why this is not just a technical side debate. It's central to the future of Ethereum scalability, the developer experience, and even ZK proofs. But let's start with the basics. WASM, or WebAssembly, is a virtual machine. It's stack-based, portable, and designed originally for high-performance web applications. But it's expanded way beyond the browser. Today, WASM runs in everything from embedded devices to full-blown server environments. It's platform agnostic. It doesn't care what kind of device you run it on. It just works. Now, RISC-V, on the other hand, is an instruction set architecture, an ISA. It's what you typically find at the lowest level of a computer's architecture, closer to hardware than to code. It's register-based, simple by design, and crucially, it's open source. That makes it easy to customize and extremely attractive for zero-knowledge proof systems, where formal verification is key. So in a nutshell, WASM is a high-level virtual machine built for portability and developer ergonomics. RISC-V is a low-level instruction set, optimized for performance and formal reasoning. They serve different roles, but both are vying for Ethereum's future. When it comes to performance, though, WASM has a head start. WASM executes fast, really fast. Some benchmarks show WASM code running only a few percentage points slower than V8's native JavaScript engine, while compiling much faster than traditional toolchains. That's a win for both the user experience and developer productivity. But RISC-V really comes through when it comes to zero-knowledge contexts. Projects like RISC-0 are already using it to drastically reduce the overhead, improving Ethereum state transitions. In fact, EVM-based ZK proofs can be up to 1,000 times less efficient than RISC-V-based ones. That's a massive bottleneck if Ethereum wants to scale with rollups and proofs. So WASM dominates general execution performance, while RISC-V dominates in cryptographic proving. Different strengths, but both valuable. However, when it comes to ecosystem and tooling, well, that's where WASM, at this point, really pulls ahead. The WASM ecosystem, well, it's huge. Thanks to its web origins, you've got battle-tested compiler support for languages like Rust, C++, Go, and a global talent pool of developers who already know how to use it. Platforms like Arbitrum are already using WASM for smart contract execution. RISC-V is catching up, but its roots are in hardware. Most of the tooling comes from chip development, not app development, but it is growing. So WASM wins for general purpose development, while RISC-V, it's still at this point more niche, but increasingly important. Now, the big question, the big elephant in the room when it comes to Ethereum is, can either of these really, truly replace the EVM? The answer is, maybe frustratingly, yes and no. WASM already runs alongside the EVM in some L2s. You can write contracts in Rust or Go, compile to WASM, and deploy them. RISC-V, though, is now on Ethereum's radar for an L1. Vitalik proposes using RISC-V to directly handle opcodes. That's a cleaner, simpler execution model, and it plays nicely with ZK rollups. Plus, RISC-V can coexist with EVM. Older contracts could still run with full interoperability between the two. But for developers, WASM is clearly still hands down the better and friendlier choice. You've got modern languages, great tooling, and a huge pool of developers both in Web 2 and in Web 3 that already know the stack. Debugging is better. The docs are better. Tooling is just, frankly, it's better. RISC-V is harder, But if you're building ZK rollups or designing circuits for formal verification, its simplicity is going to be a blessing for you. Fewer instructions means fewer attack surfaces and simpler proofs. So it's a trade-off. Speed and the ease versus control and performance on the other hand. Which one will win? It might not be a battle, though, after all. In fact, perhaps the most compelling path forward could be a hybrid. WASM for writing smart contracts and RISC-V for verifying them in zkVMs. WASM for portability and developer velocity. RISC-V for proving and execution efficiency. Ethereum doesn't have to pick one over the other. It might just need both. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more exploration on the tech shaping the future of blockchain.